I'm meteorologist Gary Lezak. The weather pattern is cycling. Let me show you how clearly you can see it in one snapshot of each cycle. I'm going to share this with you and look ahead of this storm system that is developing that's producing severe weather risks that has everyone's attention. All right, let's take a look and see what is going on. We'll start by looking at the order and chaos. The weather pattern that set up last fall continues to cycle today on this March 26th weather analysis. The forecast for significant weather events are being predicted at an over 90% accuracy rate. How can you get a severe weather outbreak, a hurricane, a winter storm, a flood predicted 30, 60, 100 days ahead of time, 200 days ahead of time? There's only one way. That's the LRC. March has had some deadly tornado outbreaks as spring weather season produces threats that were predicted weeks to months in advance. What is the LRC? The LRC is the centerpiece of a big atmospheric puzzle. Someone on X earlier today, I noticed and I responded, suggested that a new weather pattern is setting up as we move into April. It's like a new weather pattern is evolving. It is not new. The weather pattern is cycling. It began in October, and the pattern that began in October continues to cycle now. The only thing that's different is the fact that it's going into April. We're going to get the April and May version of this. So you can see that the LRC is the centerpiece. The NAO, the Arctic Oscillation, ENSO. Well, let's take a look at the El Nino Southern Oscillation Index. And you can see it was turning cooler during the winter, but it never, ever became La Nina. A lot of people said we had a La Nina winter. Oh, let me tell you, I believe that there was a La Nina influence on the winter, an influence on it. But look, to be a La Nina, you need 5 3-month averages that are below this blue line, minus 0.5. And for El Nino, you need 5 above this line up here. So notice the forecast is for neutral conditions for quite some time ahead. All right, so let's look at the Arctic Oscillation. It looks like it's been cycling just along with the LRC. With this big dip, when the AO dips negative, Arctic air is more likely to blast south and storms get energized. All right, that's what happened in January when it turned brutally cold. We had storms energized with snowstorms, including a big one in New Orleans. So this dip led to the cold outbreak, which led to the New Orleans snow, even though the AO was up by then. And then there was another big deep dip, and we had a major cold outbreak again in February. And in Kansas City, it has snowed on November 30th and January 5th to 10th, and also in February. Now, just as the dip part of the pattern is cycling back through, it's not dipping. It's forecast to go up positive late March and early April, and that's impacting the storm system. All right, here we go. If you followed me this far, that means you're really interested into the science of meteorology. A lot of people criticize Weather 2020 and the LRC, and for what reason? The only reason is because they do not know. They have not read about it. There's not a lot of education out there, even though we have one peer-reviewed paper out there. But just know this is the river of air above us. We're going to get to some science here. And we track this river of air in many ways. And we are quantifying the LRC to showcase the cycle. This is California. Here is the East Coast of the United States. Notice the dip around this storm. That's on October 11th as the new LRC began. The LRC begins each year around October 5th or 6th. That's a whole other 20-minute conversation. It evolves, and by October 11th, we are in the first cycle of this year's pattern. Notice this upper level low, all right? Now, this year's cycle is about 6 weeks. So about 6 weeks later, look, we have this or even this one. Okay, this is November 22nd to 25th, about 42 to 44, 45 days later, it returned. Then 40 2 days later, 41 days later, January 3rd. So look at that. So you got this and this. That's January 3rd, November 25th. About 39 days actually. Then February 13th, it returned. So yeah, the pattern is the same. As you can see all these. Look on the East Coast. All right, there's an upper high up here pushing this storm a little farther south. There it is on November 25th. There it is on January 3rd. And here it is coming in on February 13th. Okay, now are you ready? Look at this feature. I want you to look at it again. I'm going to go back. I want you to look closely. Cycle 1. Cycle 2. Cycle 3. Cycle 4. And March 27th. There it is. Right off the Washington, Oregon coast. Here's that trough in the east. It's the same pattern. All right? So just know this is evidence of the cycling pattern. This is one part of the cycle. It's the entire 40 to 42 days or so that's cycling over and over again. And it allows us to make predictions like this. I posted this the other day, and as usual, it's like anybody could post that, saying between March 24th and March 31st, there would be severe weather in this area. But first of all, not anybody does. And secondly, it is based on knowing what the pattern is going to look like. A 50-day forecast. Now watch. Here's our 50-day forecast. Here's day 6 and 7 forecast from the SPC a couple days ago. Here's their update. And here's another update. So here's the SPC outlooks as of today. And look, it's starting to match ours. Again, I want you to see this. All right? Here is our prediction from 50 days ago for severe weather. All right? And the reason why I cut it off here, I put this in here because I thought it'd be too cold. We'll see. The severe weather risk may extend up here. That's what the Storm Prediction Center had, although they've been trending into our prediction, as you can see right there. So not only does it allow us to predict these severe weather outbreaks far in advance, hurricanes and tropical storms in 2022, who was the most accurate based on this independent data from Barcelona Supercomputing Center? Weather 2020, by far the most accurate in 2022. Add in 23 and 24, who's the most accurate? Weather 2020 has had the most accurate hurricane season predictions 3 years total in a row now. So basically, I'm on here today to just show you that the weather pattern is cycling. There's nothing that has changed in this pattern. There's always changes, however, in seasonal differences. The April, May, June version is going to be different than the January version. In other words, in July, when the pattern cycles back through, in July, it will be cycling. It's not going to snow in July anywhere, right? Maybe in the top of the Rocky Mountains, and that's it. So just know you get the same but different seasonal differences. I'm meteorologist Gary Lezak. Let me know if you have any questions. Of course, I guess we could go look at the data real quick. Let me just show you. There is that storm I talked about, all right? In the other cycles, what happens to it next is interesting. This one, it goes around and forms into these two waves. It breaks up into many different waves, and then that's all that's left. Because the AO is going positive, it sort of spreads it out. But I still got to watch this, as this is the setup for severe weather, which is right on schedule. So, in fact, let's look and see what it had. You can see here, severe weather on the East Coast on next Monday. Let's go back to Sunday. And there it is. There's the low. And a chance of severe thunderstorms in here on Sunday. And then on Saturday as well. So the snowstorm is right there over parts of the Dakotas. I didn't get to show you. This is what I was showing you. As you can see here, there it is. There's the storm on coming in. And there it is. And you can see it's like after this storm goes by, the risks go down. All right. Have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions at all.